Hi guys, today we are discussing a soul calling, and I have Sam Mitchell with me. He's here to speak on his mission to bring awareness to autism and also how he decided to start this. How are you today, Sam?
Hey, buddy, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, you can go right ahead and let us know about you and what you're doing today.
All right, so what I do is I run a podcast called Autism Rocks and Rolls. It's a podcast about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand. Through the podcast, it's grown so much. I developed sponsors, a board of six. I do events in Indianapolis where I'm from, and I've done speaking engagements. I've spoken all the way to a top in Canada to the bomb south in Orlando, Florida. Trying to think what else about me. I've done a recent TEDx talk a couple years ago, actually 6 years ago. I take that back. It's been a while long ago. Anyway, it's called Soul Structures about why those on the spectrum need structure.
Thank you for telling us about you and what you've done so far to bring awareness. Could you tell us why you decided to do this?
Because I'm on the spectrum, I've dealt with so much BS in my life that I finally decided to take a stand.
Thank you for your honesty. And could you tell us why this is important for people to be aware of the daily struggles you face and what does it mean to you to be on the spectrum?
The numbers are growing is one reason why. That's now 1 in 30 something that grew. Before it was 1 in 45. And I think this is important because it's going to keep growing. And I feel like sometimes we're dimming down people of understanding these behaviors that we really can't help.
And how do you think that you're trying to change people's understanding on autism with what you're doing?
I think the way I'm trying to change people's understanding is by running this podcast and in this podcast giving content that's truthful, telling them both positives and negatives about autism. Because I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I had some hard days, but I've also had some awesome days. I think both sides need to be spoke about.
What do you think is one of the misconceptions people assume when dealing with individuals who are on the spectrum?
That there's one spectrum and everyone on the spectrum is in a wheelchair or bedridden. I'm not going to lie. That is some cases. There have been some cases where they don't even speak and they're non-speaking. But that's not everybody with autism. I actually have the capability to brush my teeth on my own. I have the capability to use the bathroom like everyone else. Sure, do I struggle with social cues and finances? Yes. I ain't gonna lie there. I'm terrible with math. But can I still do things in life like everyone else can? Absolutely. I'm not a guy who's going to lay in bed all day, or that's just not who I am. Now, like I said, there is a population like that. But is that everybody with autism? No.
What would
I
you
met several
say?
people with autism who actually work.
Yes, what would you say about those who are nonverbal and can actually express all the things that you like us to know? What would you say we need to be aware of for this population?
Well, I think with that in particular population, I have a friend, a board member, who unfortunately his son who had autism, who had non-speaking autism, unfortunately passed away. But what he did was it was like telepathy. I think when you have someone who can't speak, you need to find alternative ways they can speak, like with technology, with other non-speaking gaps. So maybe they're doing eye blinking for yes, maybe they're twitching their mouth for no's. Or in some cases, you have to understand too, sometimes people with autism in general, whether they speak or don't speak, socializing takes a lot out of them. I mean, I ain't gonna BS. I haven't said this on a whole lot of podcasts, but I think this is a good one to mention it. There are some days I wish I was non-speaking because having the ability to speak, while I'm grateful for it, it stresses me out, man, to socialize.
Well, I know that a lot of the social cues and, meanings we give to things can be overwhelming sometimes. There's a lot to just keep up with. So I wonder if there's a message you'd like to give people who may listen into this video about just you in general, how you've managed to get to this point in life, just accepting yourself and the things you have to deal with.
Well, I think how I got to where I am at today is I just learned people pleasing is a crutch. People pleasing is a crutch, and in my eyes, doing what I wanted to do within reason. I mean, I'm smart enough to realize I'm not going to rob a bank, but doing what I want to do, having my own quirks, having my own friends, having my own hobbies, it's made life so much better. And I might be putting up a wall towards some people and living my life the way I want to, but I had to put up that wall or I wouldn't be functional today.
Thank you so much. I believe it is important to focus on your strengths, right? Because you can build on those and make a difference like you are doing right now. And I wonder if you can tell us more about your podcast, how we can find you, and also if anybody would like to be part of it, how can they do that?
Yeah, I'm not a hard guy to find. You can find me on your favorite media platform. If you Google me or search engine optimization, something will pop up. To find my website, go to autismrocksandrolls.com. If you want to research me more, don't do my name. The reason being is I have the same name as a basketball player, and you'll get research on him instead of me. So, in your best bet, when you go to the search bar, search Autism Rocks and Rolls, you'll be good to go.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us today, or do you believe this was a good conversation?
Oh, I think it was a good conversation. I think I just have some final words of wisdom here. I think it's really the truth of life, not really words of wisdom, but a way to live. If the world could be nice and not act so stupid, I think we get along so much better, don't you think?
I agree. We are all different in many different ways, not only people who may be on the spectrum. I mean, some people are just not that nice, right? Even if they're normal per se. So that's a really good
Right. And you
message.
think that, right. And you think they would be nice and everywhere, but we just got back from Hawaii and I thought to myself, oh, everyone's going to be really nice here. I was incorrect. I had a blast on the trip, but we may have ran into some nut noggins on that trip.
Well, I'm glad that you are still able to enjoy yourself. And, it seems like you have a really good support system who's been there for you. And do you believe this makes a big difference for those on the spectrum?
Well, I like to think so, and
Right.
I hope so.
Yes, and I want to thank you for your time being here and just bringing awareness to the fact that you guys are just human beings, right? Living life and trying to be part of humanity, society, and we should look at it that way and not as some kind of difference. That's really what I wanted to bring on today, and I believe you're a great advocate for this.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate
Okay, thank you for being here.